What's up, everybody? And today we are reacting to Wendigoon, the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg Part 1. Now, I put out a video the other day and it was like top 10 conspiracy theories or something like that. I'm not super into conspiracy theories. I think the creativeness around them are really cool. Could some of them be real? Sure. But for the most part, most of them are probably not. But when I put that video up, I got a lot of requests to react to this guy. This is Wendigoon, I think his name is. These videos are relatively popular, so I'm excited to see what it's all about. I know what the iceberg thing is all about. Like, I get that. How, like, further down it gets more crazier. Because I watched, I think it was... I can't remember which Halo creator did like a Halo iceberg conspiracy one. It was fantastic. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this is all about, and we'll dive deep into the weird and strange, I guess. Is that what we're doing these days? Tomorrow we should, well, not tomorrow, in the next few days we should have a Halo video because I'm about to record it right after this. And then after that we're going to be on our ways down to Florida, so there may be a little bit of a break there without many videos. So get excited for some vlogs of the travels in the bus. I'm really excited. And if you want me to react to more parts, part 2, 3, 4, and there's quite a few apparently of this conspiracy theory iceberg, then let me know in the comments down below as well, okay guys? My merch is still available. Before I get started, link down below to my merch. There'll also be a link down below to the OG video. Please go to the original video, give it a like and all that good stuff. That's really important that you do that, and give it a good old cheeky subscribe, which is what I just did right now. So for now, let's shut up, let's pop this up, and let's give it a little cheeky peek, shall we? I really like this I was gonna say Mandalorian then. Geesh, no, the regular Star Wars new trilogy poster. I like that with Rey and BB-8.
Boy, am I excited. So there's been this image floating around for a while called the Iceberg Conspiracy List. And for those of you that don't know, it is a picture of an iceberg, and on it there are several separated tiers that gauge conspiracy theories from how known they are to how unknown they are.
Okay.
I'll actually throw it up now so you can look at it. As you can see, it is huge. There are several variations, but I think this one is the best.
So it's behind me. Let me just... It's pretty big. Holy cow, it's big. You can't even see it on this. Like, you can't read the writing on the screen. It's that big.
Not only because it is the most well structured with different tiers and specifics for what each tier means, but it also is the most comprehensive.
Okay.
As I tried to find research for this, I'm telling you, there was none. Like, no one had done a full breakdown of it. There's a couple people who did one or two, and then after researching it, people were saying that everyone who did full reviews of it was having their videos taken down. So we'll see what happens. So
interesting.
Who better to do it than me? Technically, a lot of people. That doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is, because this thing is huge, every one of these phrases can lead you down an entire rabbit hole of research and investigation.
Okay.
Some of them are well-known stuff like UFOs or Bigfoot, but as you get into some of these later ones, it gets creepy. Like, you drag over some pretty scary ones like human flesh markets or children trapped in floors and things such as.
What?
But once you get really far into it, like tier 9, tier 10 stuff, it gets like God's ego death, or the universe was created as a test, and things like that that have like these whole networks and stories behind them, but just aren't commonly known. And I'll go ahead and say right now.
Okay, so obviously this is part 1, so I don't think he's gonna get into like the really like deep stuff. But I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I need the surface level stuff right now because there's way too much for me.
None of what I'm talking about means I believe it per se. I'm simply conveying what the conspiracy
that makes sense.
I think it's cool, and some of these are awesome. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to do a quick run through of the tier 1, and the next video will be tier 2, and etc. Like I said, the further you go down, the more crazy they get. So this one's pretty much to whet your appetite. Although
okay,
there is a lot
this
of
is what I need
here that I learned in research for this video. Some of the ones we'll get into in later videos are absolutely crazy, like the City of Broken Candles or the Valley of Headless Men and things such as. But like I said, I'm going to go through the entire chart, so we're starting with tier 1. The title and description for tier 1 is Crazy Head, and the description reads, mainstream conspiracies and unsolved mysteries. Most of this stuff is well documented and known to a good portion of the Western citizens. A lot of common theories may be grouped in broader terms, or may not even appear on the chart at all considering their meaning and popularity. Also, quick disclaimer,
interesting.
On this first tier, this doesn't really apply to the others, but some of these are so well known, or you've heard so many times, I'm not even going to cover them, like fake news, or Bigfoot, or UFOs. Like, we all get it.
Yeah.
I don't need to go into detail.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Let's get into this, and thank you for watching.
Let me see if I can. I'm wondering whether the top 10 video I did with like the Hitler escaping Germany and a few of the other ones, I wonder if they're in this as well. I like the Bigfoot stuff, like the zoology, the zoo. What's it called? What's it called? It's like it's not zoology because that's just regular. What's it called? Cryptozoology. I like that stuff. I think it's cool. I don't believe in much of it, if any of it. I just think it's really creative and cool. So I'm excited to see what this surface level stuff is, because I'm definitely not ready for Valley of the Skulls or whatever it was.
First up, we have Big Pharma. Most of you know about this. It's pretty much just a huge encompassing theory that pharmaceutical companies suppress vaccines and cures that are made in order to make money off of treatment. Next, we have Atlantis.
I feel like this is that is very surface level, like Big Pharma, like the whole idea that, I mean, at the end of the day, we know they raise their prices to make profit, which is ridiculous. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for them to do even more evil stuff that we don't know about.
Original records of Atlantis date back to Greek times, I believe, between Sparta and Athens, of a continent located somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. And since they couldn't have got to North America, that would require there to be something in between that has since disappeared or sank. Next up, we have...
Okay, Atlantis. I don't really know much about it, but I do know that they're discovering new things about old cities and stuff that they didn't know about, like Göbekli Tepe and a few other places. So it wouldn't be out the crazy to think that was real.
We have one of the first ones that I didn't know about until getting into this, and that is Nostradamus. Nostradamus was an old philosopher who came up with several of the constellations and discovering the night sky, and it is believed that several of his predictions came true later, such as World War II and the Great London Fire. However, from doing my own research, this is kind of BS because, like, for example, the London Fire, he said that there would be bad things happening in London, and nothing happened in London, so yeah. The Mandela effect. Most of you are probably familiar with this, but
this is a good one.
It essentially says that there are parallel universes that cross over with each other in minor ways that we're not aware of. For example, those who remember the Bernstein Bears from their childhood may be surprised to know that it's actually the Bernstein Bears, and that several discrepancies like that exist. Like the Monopoly Man has no monocle, and yada yada yada. This is a cool one. It's very deep. It goes on for itself. So if you're interested, check it out.
Yeah, I feel like this is just probably an effect of the brain. I don't know if it's anything to do with parallel universes and stuff, but I would like to know more about that. I guess he's just talking like roughly what they are. I think if you want to get really deep down, we'd have to find another video on specific ones, you know. But I like this. I like this.
Next is Malaysian Flight 370, which disappeared somewhere over the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
The conspiracy states that there is a U.S. military base there, and more than likely the plane was either hijacked and flying towards it, or flew too close to it, to which the U.S. military shot it down and covered up all evidence of it. Although, practically, I feel that there's a lot of moving parts in that could be kept secret for so long. The GMO...
That makes sense. There is a lot of moving parts in there, and like I've said in previous videos, the government are very much not as well adept to that stuff as what people think.
Conspiracy regards GMOs that are in several foods, from fast food and markets and things such as, which are used in this conspiracy to cause food shortages and hunger in people. So essentially the whole get the customer addicted idea. Forbes has read...
That wouldn't surprise me in any way either, to be honest with you. I feel like GMOs are something that aren't usually harmful. Like, we know of the selective breeding of crops to make certain better crops, like how we got the traditional banana, but like they really are going a bit wild and crazy with some of that stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me either with that.
Further vague, from what I figured out, it's referring to the orbs that are seen in photographs when taken in the sunlight. So, you know, dust, particles, things such as.
Weird.
The conspiracy says that it is a paranormal or supernatural occurrence. So yeah.
The orb, like when I went to go ghost hunting, there was like an orb, and I don't know if I believe that.
World Order, for those that aren't familiar, in the book of Revelations in the Bible, it details that there will be a one world government or one world order in the end times, and this will be in much more specific detail as we get later on into the iceberg, but at this tier, it's basically just referring to the idea that all governments want to come together to make one government.
I don't think all governments want to come together as one government. I feel like one government just wants to control everything, or at least the private sector want to control everything. So I don't think that all the governments want to kind of converge. I mean, obviously we've got the European Union and stuff, but I think it's a bit more private than that, if that makes sense. It is possible. There's people that have always wanted to take over the world, right? That happens all the time because there's idiots out there like Hitler and people like that. But I don't know whether it's governments working together to control the world, maybe? I don't know.
I know I keep like advertising later into the iceberg, but there's good reason for it. Some of the ones down there are insane and get into specifics of how one world government can be achieved and things such as. So stay tuned. Next is the Nibiru Cataclysm. Nibiru is a planet, or also known as Planet X, that was predicted by a scientist in 2000.
I know this one.
Collide with the Earth in 2003. So pretty well debunked. But
yeah.
The term is still used to apply to an idea that a meteor or any other body could hit the planet one day and kill us all. Now we get into the fun stuff.
So the whole Nibiru thing, that's something to do with Anunnaki and stuff like that. I remember there's a lad in the Marines, a friend of mine, who was super into that and super believed it. Yeah, I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. I know that the Anunnaki were Sumerian gods. I know that. Something like that. And there was a planet that they came from. I'm butchering it, guys. I'm sure I'm absolutely butchering it. I'd love people to let me know in the comments. If you know more about it in the comments, or if you've got videos to link to, let me know. I like getting deep into this weirdness. I don't believe most of it. I've said this plenty of times, but it's so creative and cool.
Bilderberg meetings is an event that really does happen every year, in which Western economists meet with European governments to discuss capitalism in the West from all the evidence I could find. Obviously, there are several theories that come from this, especially since the fact the press isn't allowed and there are no notes to be taken.
Interesting.
So a group of world elites talking behind closed doors in high places. Nice.
Yeah. I like his reaction on that. That makes sense. Like, it's bullshit that we're not allowed to see what they're talking about. At the end of the day, it's government officials. Let us know what they're doing.
Possibly, but the theory really, it applies a lot to anarchist rings, oddly enough. And it's essentially the idea that humans can be further expanded on or bettered through augmentation of computer parts and like cybernetics and things such as BEK.
I think that's something that that's not out of the ordinary. I don't think like people will be able to run faster, in the future through genetic, changes and having things be like someone's blind and they have like a new eye put in, a robotic eye. That's not out of the possibility, especially with the way that prosthetics are going right now. Excuse me, my kombucha's coming back at me. The way that all that stuff's coming back out, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Black-eyed kids is a recurring phenomenon in the supernatural community of small children appearing with blacked-out eyes. You can follow this rabbit trail pretty far, but pretty much surface level, it's just creepy kids who appear whenever tragedy happens. So people chalk it up to ghosts or extraterrestrials or what have you. Next is...
Can I just say, this is tier 1, and I'm already like out of my depth. Like, it goes like to tier 9 or something crazy. Can you imagine what that's going to be like if we react to them all? Holy cow. I don't think my brain's ready for this, guys. I really don't.
Antarctica, which there is a slew of Antarctic conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Everything ranging from giant holes appearing in the middle of Antarctica, to government bases being down there, to that's where the world elites hide. I mean, you could spin forever on this. So, moving on. Next is the basement tank.
I feel like that's just a product of the unknown, right? The product of the unknown, like not knowing what it is or where it is. Therefore... knowing where it is, we do know that, but like not knowing what's there because it's so unexplored just means that there's more conspiracies there, right? I don't necessarily think it's true. There's probably some weird stuff over there that people are not telling us about, but I don't think there's like massive government bases there or anything. Maybe there is. I might be talking crap.
For those of you that don't know, before the Columbine shooting, the two shooters made a series of videos detailing what they were going to do, how they were going to do it, and generally talking about how they hate people in their school and there needs to be a cleansing and things such as. These tapes still exist, although the conspiracy resides in no one knows who has them. However, randomly portions of them will appear online, leaving people to believe that they're out there maybe exchanging hands,
weird,
but no one knows where they're at. Next up, we've got Operation Northwest.
That's weird.
This is a rather well-documented case.
I'm going to try and just let these roll and start, because we're only halfway through, and this video is 15 minutes long we're talking right now. So I'm going to try and let these roll and just talk as it goes on, okay?
But essentially, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, there was reports put out by the CIA that said to warrant a war with Cuba, they should commit acts of terrorism against U.S. citizens and then blame them on Cuba to justify a war.
In fact, I know I already...
Yep. Next up is...
I know I said I wasn't going to pause, but I actually watched a really cool video on Banana Republic in South America. It's the guy who does like news videos, and it talked about that, how they were like, you know, there was this big company, the ones that we get all our bananas from, and that they used to be under a different name, and then they like created riots and propaganda and stuff like that. It's a super interesting video. You should check it out. But that one actually seems plausible.
PSYOPs. This is also well documented. Just the fact that specifically the U.S. government, as well as other governments, is known to employ psychological warfare, from noises to conditions and supply rations and things like that.
That could make sense.
Is an event occurred off the coast of South Africa in 1979. What happened is a system of satellites known as the Vela satellites captured two back-to-back giant flashes for seemingly no reason. However, after reading into it, it was probably just an unsanctioned nuclear test because this satellite system had caught them before and they looked similar. And the whole conspiracy is just because there was no scripted test that day. So
yeah,
probably just nuke testing.
I need to know more about that one.
While this one seems vague, later tiers get into it more specifically. But essentially, in the Old Testament of the Bible, there are several references to giants happening, and obviously today there doesn't seem to be any. However, this conspiracy, as we get into it later, applies to the deep state and cover-ups and things such as, so I don't want to spoil any of it yet. But this is a good mention that asterisk mark, so to speak. We'll get to it later.
See, that interests me. I love this type of stuff with like giants and, like I said, cryptozoology, UFOs, and some of that kind of conspiracy, like the stuff that isn't as harmful. Maybe you might go down the wrong path and it might be harmful, but I like that type of stuff. Some of these other ones are way too out there for me. Maybe I'll get used to it and start watching some of these other ones.
Padma McCord is an interesting one. There's a lady online by the name of Padma McCord who owns, for some reason, thousands, if not millions of URLs, which, looking at this on the outside, you'd say, oh, it's some company using the name or whatever, until you go to the URLs and it's just pictures of her face photoshopped onto other women.
What?
And every one of these websites has millions of backlinks to other websites, which someone who knows tech may know more about it than I do. I have no clue why.
What?
The Elisa
That's creepy.
Lam incident. For those who haven't
I've seen this video
on creepy internet videos like I have, you may not know who Elisa Lam is.
I've seen this video.
But it is a story that is worth your time. She was a college student, I believe, at the Hotel Cecile in California, who for some reason, it's seen in security camera videos, runs onto an elevator, freaking out, keeps jerking around, thinking something's
I've seen this video. It's weird.
And is never seen alive again until she's found 3 days later in the water tank of the hotel. There was never any evidence of a killing. No one was ever found in connection to it.
Yeah.
And it is one of the wildest videos ever to watch, knowing that she was never followed and there was never evidence of anyone following her. It's really strange. I'll leave you to look into this one yourself. But it was one of the first videos I remember that kind of got me into this whole,
yeah,
I don't know, like creepy dark web, whatever. The tarot.
I feel like that could definitely be like schizophrenia or something like that. But I think maybe Mr. Ballin did a video on that, or someone like that. And I watched it in my own time, and I thought it was fascinating.
Calico picture. This one's just sad. There was a woman named Terry Calico who's suspected to be abducted in the early 90s. And then a few months later, a picture of her bound and gagged turned up in a parking lot around the area.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of questions of why the picture was left there and what any of it means, especially since it was just in some random convenience store parking lot.
That's heartbreaking.
Like I said, this is just sad.
Yeah.
The Mad Gasser of Mattoon. I have never heard of this one before until researching it. But apparently in the 40s, there was a series of gas attacks that occurred in Mattoon, Illinois.
What?
Which investigators mostly chalked up to mass hysteria. and people who left their fuel lines running, but everyone who it happened to, which was dozens of cases, claimed that it was an individual that ran up to them and attacked them with invisible gas. So
weird.
Yeah, have fun with that one. COINTELPRO.
Weird.
Like Operation Northwoods, this one's pretty well documented and known at this point, but essentially, before the Patriot Act became a thing, it's evidence of the FBI illegally spying on U.S. citizens to gain information, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, government bad. The Mao...
I mean, yeah, we kind of realized that that's true, which is really scary.
Yale connection. This one pretty much just says that the old communist emperor of China, Mao Zedong, was in secret connections with Yale University in ways to indoctrinate students and receive funding from them, and vice versa.
What?
From what I've seen, it's mostly just conspiracy jargon, but you can check it out for yourself. The I-70...
Like, this is so beyond me. Like, and I can't believe this is tier 1, guys. Like, genuinely, because some of this is, like, beyond my kind of thought process right now. I can't imagine the creativeness that the next tiers are going to be. Like, holy cow.
Killer. This is referring in the spring of 1992, there was a series of 6 murders of gas station clerks on the I-70 interstate.
Jeez.
And no one was ever caught, but some sketches were given. From everything I've found, this is simply just a serial killer string that went unsolved.
Yeah.
Majestic 12 is a reference to a board member of 12 people put together by Harry Truman in 1947 to recover all alien spacecraft information and things such as. This relates back to Area 51, although it's a bit more specific in saying that there's a committee, so to speak, that looks over anything that happens with extraterrestrials.
Kind of reminds me of like SCP. But I mean, Majestic 12, I've never heard of it, but that's something that I'm interested in and want to know more about. And it's something that wouldn't surprise me. People who are billionaires and multimillionaires, they're just people. And they have interests just like us. And if they're interested in UFO and this paranormal and stuff, they'll put what they have, their resources, which so happens to be billions of dollars, into finding stuff like that, whether it's true or not. So it wouldn't surprise me if something like that's real, and I'd be very interested to learn more about that.
Also, Area 51 was also in this first tier list, but like I said, it's one of those that's so obvious there's no reason for me to talk about it. Red Squads are, again, a pretty well-documented government thing, that during the whole Red Scare of the 50s and 60s, there were groups of U.S. police officers whose sole purpose was to hunt down communist sympathizers and arrest them for whatever.
That wouldn't surprise me, it'd be true.
It's really hard to find information on because it's such a vague title, but given its italics, I think it's referring to a book that essentially is a self-help book that says, thinking certain thoughts deliberately will change the course of your life. So, not sure why it's on there, but you know, we're still in tier 1, so whatever.
I've seen that before in like the bookstore and stuff. I think it's just like a esoterical kind of self-help book, if I'm correct.
Acupuncture is an interesting one. This relates back to the big pharma I mentioned at the beginning, and essentially says that acupuncture heals several diseases, but it is purposely put down and not given attention by mainstream media and doctors because it would put them out of business. So it's an interesting rabbit hole to go down.
I don't know how much that one's true, but I have had acupuncture before. It's actually a funny story, and I'll briefly go over it. When I was getting fit for the Royal Marines, you do what's called a PRMC, which is a weekend test, like a really hard weekend test before you even get into training. And I passed it, and then like the gap between my PRMC and my Royal Marines training, I actually developed some severe shin splints, or it could have been like mild compartment syndrome. And I went to see a physio, and he did acupuncture and a few other things on me, and it got rid of it. I've never had shin splints since. So who knows, right?
The Max Headroom incident is something that happened in 1987.
Is this the TV thing?
When 2 broadcast stations suddenly cut out and cut to a video of a man wearing a Max Headroom costume, which is a character from British television, who began talking random jargon and swearing, and then had someone spank him on camera, and then the broadcast cut out. What's interesting is that there's never been anyone named a suspect, there was never any evidence found, and it's pretty much become a whole Reddit thread trying to figure out who this person was, what happened, and name them. So
I do know about that one, and it is weird AF.
It's an interesting mystery to go on, but from everything I could find, it was just 2 guys messing with the media. And then for the last one I'm going to cover in tier 1, we have the UN agenda. This is pretty much just relates to Agenda 21 and other conspiracies, which I'll talk about more in later tiers, but the idea that the UN is trying to build itself towards a new world order.
Oh, okay.
So that is the end of tier 1.
Okay,
Like
okay.
there are 10
Okay,
tiers,
I got a lot
and
to talk
they
about
just
for
get
this.
crazier from here. Everything I just covered is stuff that you can simply search conspiracy theory
Hmm.
and find information on, but the ones I'm going to get into after this video are, you've got to do some digging, you have to know what boards to look at to figure out, people want to talk about it, and other really interesting things, and it gets pretty spooky. So stay tuned, let me know if you like this video. As always,
I
wanna
like
thank
the
my
video.
patrons over on Patreon.
I like
Thank
it.
you to all of my patrons, but a special thank you to the top tiers. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Peth. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Benjamin.
I'll let him finish his video.
Thank you, Publius, and thank you,
He
Sauce.
deserves it, because that was a good
It will be
video.
in the description as always. Thank you all for watching. Like I said before, this was kind of a trailer. I want to put this out quick so I can...
A trailer? Holy cow.
Because it shoots downhill from here, and I am excited. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in part 2.
So, firstly, there's a link down below to the OG video. Go down there, give it a like and all that good stuff. Okay. Secondly, the last bit, the UN thing. I don't know. I don't know how well adept governments are. I've been in the military, right? I know that the government is incredibly unorganized. But what I do think is that there's probably people out of the reach of the government, so probably like individuals, private companies or whatever, who do have a big agenda because they can't get away with it in government. Does that make sense? And I think that's probably more plausible than the whole government thing, if I'm honest with you. Like, I don't think the government is smart enough to know what to do, and if they were, I feel like there would be more leaks about it. Leaks happen a lot. Look at the video game industry. You get a lot of leaks about video games. Imagine if it was the government. You know, we'd get a lot of leaks. So I don't really know if that would be, you know, if that would be plausible. But I think there probably is private companies that are doing this crazy stuff because who knows, people are crazy, right? It's super interesting. If you want me to react to more of these conspiracy iceberg tiers, let me know. Part 1, which is just the surface level, is already kind of stuff that's I didn't even know about, so I can't even imagine what the rest of them are gonna be like proper nuts, but also super creative, and I'm kind of excited for it. If you guys don't want to see me react to it, I might watch it in my own time anyway. So let me know in the comments. And if you do know more about some of the individual conspiracies, let me know in the comments as well. I'd like to know what your thoughts are and all that stuff. But for now, Halo video will be coming out in the next few days. What else? My merch is available down below. Members, you're beautiful, you're amazing, I love you, I couldn't do this without you. I honestly couldn't make videos every single day if it wasn't for you members. I've been saying this script for like 2 years now. So thank you, members, you're awesome, I love you, and it's so fantastic to get to know you guys in the Discord. And if you want a private chat in the Discord, like a new chat thing in it for conspiracies, let me know in the comments down below, members. I'll just DM me on Discord. Links down below to all my socials, including the other YouTube channels and all my socials. If you want to discover where I'm going on this journey, this bus that I'm in right now, this school bus, we are traveling the United States, and if you want to follow that journey, the best place to go is our Instagram, because we update that more than anything else. But I will be doing vlogs on here as well very soon. But until next time, guys, I love you all, have a wonderful day, goodbye.